put myself through like makeup and everything else. Makeup, set up the camera, the lighting, the microphone, which hopefully will sync up with the audio that I film. Anyway, so yeah, I'm on camera. I'm made up. Wig. You can see me instead of my avatar. And so, double review. No. What am I reviewing? Well, I have two words. Well, let's talk about a certain somebody. James Cameron. He is simultaneously regarded in the film industry as one of the greatest minds to have ever, man the camera. He's also regarded as a complete narcissistic douchebag that treats everyone around him like shit. One of those brilliant assholes. Somebody who is a pain to work with, but backs it up with his immense talent. And he has made some of the best and most famous science fiction movies of all in recent memory. He's got The Terminator, he's got Aliens, Terminator 2, Titanic, Avatar. But I am not talking about either of those movies today. What movies am I talking about? I'm talking about The Abyss and True Lies. Both of these movies were well regarded back in their time, and I look back fondly nowadays. But neither of them stand out from James Cameron's filmography the same way that Terminator or Aliens or Titanic do. James Cameron's other movies are all of them are pretty much noteworthy for something. You have Terminator, which was the start of one of the greatest, or rather one of the most innovative and Terminator is one of the greatest sci-fi action horror movies of all time. It made Arnold Schwarzenegger a star. It cemented James Cameron's career. He lies about it being his directorial debut. It isn't. Aliens, one of the greatest sequels to one of the greatest movies of all time, with many regarding it as superior to the original Ridley Scott movie Alien. Terminator 2, also one of the greatest sequels of all time, this time directed by James Cameron and utilizing some revolutionary CGI effects. You have Titanic, which became the most expensive movie of all time when it was released, and also became the highest grossing movie of all time at its release. And you also have Avatar, which again, revolutionary special effects, and became the highest grossing movie of all time until Avengers Endgame. Which, okay, here's something about those numbers. Avatar became the highest grossing movie of all time during its initial run. Avengers Endgame had to be re-released before it outgrossed Avatar, so... But these movies, The Abyss and True Lies, don't really stand out in the same way as those other movies do. These and I think it's kind of it kind of shows in the way that none of these movies have been released on Blu Ray. So yeah, both of these movies are kind of quiet in his repertoire. So, but I rewatched them a few nights ago. I started with The Abyss because it was released earlier, and then I watched True Lies, and yeah. So now it's time to start talking about the movies. Okay, The Abyss there's some strange happenings going on in the ocean. So the US government, I think, enlists the help of some oil people, whatever, to investigate. And it turns out it's, you know what, spoilers, it's aliens. The acting is really good. Okay, I'll start with the positives. Okay, the acting is really good. Ed Harris, he's really good. What's her name? Is it Elizabeth something? Yeah, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. I'm probably butchering that last part. She's also really good. This movie also has Michael Biehn, who portrayed Kyle Reese in Terminator. He is probably the best part, portraying a character completely unlike Kyle Reese. Somebody who's, he's a military man, but he goes crazy because of the oceanic pressure. Michael Biehn portrays the character really well. I'm actually surprised he didn't get any kind of award for it. Obviously it had a fucking... Okay, thing is, James Cameron, he didn't want to shoot this movie. Okay, typically when they shoot underwater scenes, they use smoke machines and fans to make it look like you're underwater. James Cameron found that effect to be unconvincing, so he actually wanted to shoot in the water. And oh man, like when I was watching that, I was amazed by the commitment that actors had to all of this, because I was watching The Abyss and I thought, oh my god, this must have been a fucking miserable shoot. And apparently it was. James Cameron put the actors through absolute hell to make this movie. The actors actually had to deal with real oceanic pressure. Ed Harris, he broke down crying in his car. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. Why do I keep on trying to say that? I'm just going to refer to her character Lindsay. I think that's the name. Yep, I'm pretty sure it's Lindsay. Lindsay Ellis. Thanks, I hate it! Anyway, she had a mental and physical breakdown. And Ed Harris actually almost died during filming. James Cameron kept filming despite that, and Ed Harris got so angry he punched James in the face, or he tried to. I'm not sure if he actually did punch him in the face, but I like the story of him being so angry he punched James Cameron in the face, because I'm sure that every other actor that worked with him wanted to punch James Cameron in the face. So yeah, it was a miserable shoot, and I'm not surprised. I mean, actually filming in the water, having to wear these what must have been heavy diving suits, swimming through the water, having to be chin deep in water. Yeah, obviously you can appreciate this movie just by how fucking miserable and how difficult everything just appears in camera. I mean, say what you want about James Cameron, but he cares about his movies. This movie also utilized some effects that were groundbreaking back in the day. There's the scene where the aliens survey our characters through this camera made of water, whatever, and James Cameron James Cameron wrote that scene so that it could be cut out without affecting anything, because he wasn't sure if the technology was actually there yet. He actually thought about using some kind of special plastic stop motion. They actually I think this actually had one of the earliest uses of CGI. That is significant. And I'm not sure how well the effect holds up, but it was impressive in its time, and yeah, you have to start somewhere, and James Cameron went from that thing in Abyss to fucking Na'vi in Avatar. And so yeah, you go, James, do your crazy dictatorial pain in the ass, not caring about anyone else style of directing. Wow, that's quite a thing to say. Now, despite that, The Abyss is not perfect. I watched the extended cut of 171 minutes, though this is the DVD, so it was probably actually longer than that. The movie was cut down to near 2.5 hours theatrically. This was actually not a mandate by the studio, but this was actually James Cameron's idea. I haven't watched the theatrical cut for a while. I remember not really caring for it. The special edition is, in my mind, the better movie. If it was the one I went to, it's one I care about, and I think it's the one you should watch if you're going to watch this movie. Still, this movie is I don't rank it that high among James Cameron's works. It's not terrible by any means. I just think that it kind of takes a while to keep going, and but when it gets there, it gets there really satisfactorily, very satisfyingly, because the emotional core of the movie is this strained married couple rediscovering their love for each other, which is I don't know, is there something kind of iffy, or kind of iffy about that? If your marriage is in danger, put your lives in danger. I mean, and that'd be a lot of work. Anyway, so the Lindsay character, she drowns herself so that her estranged husband can resuscitate her later. So apparently Ed Harris was actually carrying Mary Elizabeth up to, through the water. He was in a breathing suit. She wasn't. I'm not sure they did that safely. She probably had something. If not, what are you doing to your actors, James? Anyway, so in my mind, the centerpiece of the movie is the resuscitation scene where they're trying to bring. Hold on. Where they're trying to bring Lindsay back to life, and it's a really good scene. The acting, the pacing, the framing, it's really good. It has some quotable dialogue. The scene was actually as set up and referenced in the Imagination Land trilogy in South Park. The movie. So in my mind, this is the most iconic scene of the movie. It's done really, really well. And the movie kind of just builds from there and becomes, if not, I don't necessarily think of it as a great movie, but it is a very good movie. James Cameron tends to make very good movies. Although I haven't seen Avatar for a few years, maybe I'll watch it again soon. Maybe just for the sequels. Maybe it holds up. It probably does. I'll check later. So why isn't The Abyss necessarily great? I think it's because the characters aren't really as dynamic as they could be. I can only remember 3 characters' names. Bud, portrayed by Ed Harris. Lindsay, portrayed by... what's her name? Yeah, Mary Elizabeth I keep trying and butchering her name. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. I have no idea if that's still a name. And Coffee by... But I think it helps that Coffee is portrayed by Kyle Reese. The other characters, I can't really tell you what their names are, and I can't really tell you that much about them. Even though I kind of suspect that the black lady character. Could if more young people see this movie, I feel like she could be a kind of an androgynous or non-binary icon, or kind of a representative. Anyway, the score by Alan Silvestri. Yeah, Alan Silvestri. Yeah, it does have some really good, memorable themes like or no, not like that, but something like that. Maybe I'll edit it here. I don't think so. Anyway, so yeah, not just that effect. Like the effects used to realize the aliens are pretty good. And but anyway, let's talk about what this movie is about. Like the emotional core of the movie is that it's about a strained relationship, a strained married couple rediscovering their love for each other. And okay, rediscovering the love part works, but I don't think it works completely. Like the actors are good enough where you believe that they have rediscovered their love for each other, but I don't think it's written in a way that you completely buy them as they're rediscovering their love for each other. So yeah, despite that, The Abyss is a pretty good movie overall. No, True Lies. This is my least favourite James Cameron movie. Now let's so yeah, apparently James Schwarzenegger is James Cameron's most frequent collaborator. And Jamie Lee Curtis is in this. She's, I'll get to that. Okay, this movie, is pretty, problematic by today's standards. Like, we'll get to this. I'll kind of just talk about what this movie, okay, if you look at it, you'll probably suspect that this movie has it kind of looks like it has a James Bondish vibe. And in some ways, yeah, it kind of seems like the hook of this movie is that it's James Bond, but he's a family man. And he kind of has to go through the same kind of, the same kind of marital politics that most people I suspect most people go with. I'm not married myself anyway. It kind of deals with themes about like, marriage, deception, jealousy, insecurity, I'll talk about what works about this movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger is actually delivers a pretty good performance here. A lot of people have said over the years that he's not a good actor. I don't know. I think that in the right kind of movie, he can actually shine. Jamie Lee Curtis is also good in this movie. James Cameron as a director is actually really talented. So yeah, you can expect this movie to be well directed. Oh man, I actually forgot about a few things here. yeah, so this movie actually has Nick Fury, not Samuel Jackson or David Hasselhoff. This movie probably has the most comic accurate depiction of likeness wise to Nick Fury than that we're ever probably going to get. Now I know that the Ultimate line of Marvel had Nick Fury modeled after Samuel L. Jackson, and then they had Samuel L. Jackson actually portray the character in the MCU. This was all before that. In this movie, you have Charlton Heston portraying like the head of like the FBI or wherever Arnold Schwarzenegger works. He wears an eye patch, and it's kind of hilarious in hindsight that I couldn't get seeing Charlton Heston portraying his character here, seeing how much he looks like Nick Fury, knowing that they went with Samuel Jackson in the movies. Now, nothing against Samuel Jackson, he is great as Nick Fury in the movies. It's kind of hilarious that you have Charlton Heston in this movie looking exactly like Nick Fury. Like 14 years. Yeah, 14 years before the MCU even happened. And apparently this movie also has Richard Harris. Is this the Richard Harris that I'm thinking of? The one that portrayed Dumbledore in the Harry Potter movies? I really want to know, because I have no idea. Okay, now let's talk about what some of the problematic parts of this movie are. Okay, obviously, what's his name? Harry? Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's who you know him as. That's who you're going to remember him as. He uses his work's technology to spy on his wife, who he suspects of cheating. Yeah, that is not okay. And he also uses his he also tricks his wife into like thinking she's being blackmailed by the government to like get some intel on this somebody who they're telling her is a terrorist, but it's really just him in a darkly lit room, and they trick her into doing a striptease for him, and though aesthetically pleasing, it is so wrong. And I don't think it's presented in that way. I don't think it's presented in a way where you're meant to look at Schwarzenegger's character as in like, okay, you're going too far, mate. But instead, it seems to be okay. I think it's just meant to be titillating for the males in the audience, and maybe the females in the audience that like that. Anyway, Jamie Lee Curtis actually defends the scene. She said something like, it's her character taking control and like feeling sexy, and that she could just walk out if she wanted to. Sorry, Jamie, but you are incorrect in that assessment. As we the audience knows that if she didn't want to go through with it, Schwarzenegger probably wouldn't have made her suffer any kind of repercussions. But her character, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, did not know that. As far as she knew, if she didn't go through, if she didn't oblige to it, she would have probably have been like in prison or worse. So Jamie, I just do not agree with you on that assessment. And also, this movie was released 7 years before 9/11, and yeah, the bad guys are Muslim terrorists, and okay, we cannot pretend that, we cannot, okay, how do I put this? Terrorism is real. There are people that want to kill us just because we look or act differently, or just because of an angry misanthrope with a gun. That being said, racial profiling is wrong and awful, and you cannot treat all Muslims as if they are terrorists. That is wrong, indefensibly wrong, and bigoted and racist and so many other terrible things. And now this movie, I think it actually is bad enough by the standards of 1994, but it's even worse after 9/11 with all the anti-Muslim bigotry and racism that followed throughout the West. And yeah, I think it's telling that James Cameron was planning on doing a sequel to this, but after 9/11 happened, he just can't think of a good story that wouldn't be in too poor taste. And yeah, I do, yes. It's a good call working on those Avatar movies instead. James Cameron, you probably can't make a sequel to this nowadays. You probably couldn't make that movie again nowadays, which is... Yeah, honestly, I certainly wouldn't make that movie. Okay, so... the daughter of James Cameron's character the daughter of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis's character, she was like 12 at this age, I think, and apparently she was abused by like a stunt coordinator. I don't remember the exact details, but yeah, that is terrible. And apparently he threatened to to improperly fit her safety harness or whatever if she told anyone about the abuse that he did to her. That is awful. She has my complete sympathy. It's just an awful thing to think about. Like, these children being taken advantage of this way. I don't even know what to say. It's just such a terrible thing to think about, and to know that it happened. And I didn't even know that while I was watching this the first time, and so yeah, I guess that's why people say believe victims or believe women, or however it goes. Man, is there anything else that can be said good about this movie? The comedy doesn't really work for me that much. This feels probably like the least like a James Cameron movie. Schwarzenegger notwithstanding. It's not very, it's not really groundbreaking. It doesn't have, strong female characters. It doesn't have Ripley. It doesn't have Sarah Connor. It doesn't have Lindsay from The Abyss or Neytiri from Avatar or Rose from Titanic. Jamie Lee Curtis is kind of just here to be made a fool of, and then be, fan service, and I guess that's not true. She does kind of help Schwarzenegger's character sabotage some kind of bomb, which kind of feels like where the movie should end, but instead they decide to tack another 20 minutes onto this movie and have okay, they have this daughter, let's bloat this movie by 20 minutes and have them try and kill his daughter, and that. This is my least favorite James Cameron movie, and The Abyss is not particularly great, but it works, and even though these neither of these movies really stand out in James Cameron's filmography, they're both worth watching for being James Cameron movies. And even True Lies is worth watching if you want to marathon James Cameron's work, or if you just want to complete your James Cameron watch through. Even though you kind of have to watch Piranha as well. Even though I don't think James Cameron directed all of Piranha. But James Cameron, he will do whatever he can to mix his movie. He'll do whatever he can to make his movie, whether it means creating new technology, putting his actors through hell, putting himself through hell, and he's widely regarded as one of the most passionate filmmakers of all time. So, if it works, it works. And Schwarzenegger is legitimately pretty good here. So if you want a genuinely good Schwarzenegger performance, there's True Lies. So The Abyss and True Lies, both kind of lesser James Cameron movies, but are worth watching for being James Cameron movies. So that's my double review vlog of The Abyss and True Lies, two overlooked James Cameron films. If you liked this video, please like, share, subscribe, all of that. His name is James Cameron, the greatest pioneer. No budget too steep, no sea too deep. Who's that? It's him, James Cameron. James Cameron, explorer of the sea, with a dying thirst to be the first. Who's that? Yeah, it's him. He was James Cameron.